you know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
Breaking news this morning. Those controversial comments from Donald Trump, the GOP frontrunner, making remarks, those on CNN last night, concerning debate moderator Megyn Kelly. Well, as a result, Trump has been booted from a Republican gathering today. Event organizers call his comments about Kelly wrong and over the line.
They're talking about the issues of terrorism and foreign policy at center stage there at the RedState Gathering in Atlanta. But although Trump is not there, can the Republican presidential candidates, the other 16, steer him out of the spotlight? Also, is it more beneficial to saddle up next to him to potentially get his voters if he drops out, or to gain some points by hitting him hard now? Joining me now, political analyst Jason Johnson, political science professor at Hiram College. Also with us, CNN political commentator Ben Ferguson sticking around with us. And I want to start with you, Ben. Answer that question. Is it more beneficial, does it behoove a candidate to saddle up next to him in case he drops out, you're the second choice, or to be critical of him now?
You can't control Donald Trump. So the idea that he's going to play well as a team, as a teammate in the GOP if he decides to drop out is unrealistic. We saw that from the first question during the debate. Which one of you, might run as an independent? He raised his hand. He could easily in 3 or 4 or 5 months be an independent. So sitting there next to him, trying to be buddy-buddy with him is only going to come back probably to haunt you, because the more that he says things like he said about Megyn Kelly last night, the more that you want to distance yourself. I think you got to take big shots at him and go after him consistently and make it very clear that Donald Trump is not anywhere close to what I am or what I believe in, instead of hoping that he might somehow put his arm around you. And he's done that in the past, let's not forget. And a lot of the people that he put his arm around in the past did not win their campaigns, their elections. So I don't think it's worth the risk.
Jason, we know that RedState rescinded its invitation.
Right.
But you questioned RedState here in all of this, and its organizer, Erick Erickson.
Exactly. Look, it's nothing personal about Erick Erickson, but wasn't it just 2 years ago that he referred to the Democratic Convention as the vagina monologues? Wasn't it just about a year ago that he was on with Megyn Kelly saying how women should be staying at home and men should be going out and making the bacon? So let's be honest. This has nothing to do with Republicans being concerned about sexism. This is all about trying to move out Donald Trump because he's not the establishment candidate. And that's why I think he's probably going to survive some of this, because this is disingenuous. This disinvite right now is only going to strengthen him and make the Republican Party look worse.
So is this party-wide?
It plays into the victim card. I will say this. I would not have uninvited Donald Trump, because these are the things that he is very smart at capitalizing on. He will be able to go out and say to his supporters and others, look at how much they fear me because they can't control me, and I'm not the establishment candidate. I honestly think that this was not the best move to uninvite him. I think you bring him there and you challenge him and then let him rip on you afterwards instead of saying, sorry, you can't come here. I want a great grand debate, and I think Donald will be able to use this to his advantage.
Is this, though, one of the points that Jason is making here, that this isn't just Donald Trump versus Erick Erickson, that there is a problem party-wide? We know that there were questions during the debate about the narrative of the war against women, but is there a problem that some in the party are recognizing?
No, I don't think there is. I think there's a problem with Donald Trump. I think that if you look at the other candidates, no one would even come remotely close to saying anything like this. It's running for the White House, and most of them are incredibly complimentary about women, and they've also had a lot of women around them working with them.
Jason nearly jumped out of his chair, Ben. Nearly jumped out of his chair.
Give me another candidate that said anything close to this in the GOP primary. None of them have.
All right.
If we're talking about Republicans in general, there is a history. You've got Santorum saying things about black people. You've got Carly Fiorina complaining about the Lilly Ledbetter Act and how that doesn't really help women. You have plenty of candidates who have said things that aren't beneficial to women, aren't beneficial to Latinos, aren't beneficial to African Americans. So you can't pretend that Trump is some kind of outlier here. He represents a lot of Republican beliefs. You've got Rick Santorum right now who said that black people are parasites. He said that in 2012. You have Carly Fiorina. You have Carly Fiorina who talked about how the Lilly Ledbetter Act is condescending to women and doesn't necessarily help them, even though it is a bill to actually benefit people. So the fact of the matter is, Ben, no matter how much you talk, you can't deny the fact that Trump represents your party.
Ben, floor is yours.
Okay, again, Donald Trump does not represent my party. It's pretty obvious that I cannot stand Donald Trump because I think he's a fraud and a narcissist candidate. I've said that many times here. I think he's more of a Democrat. He's given an insane amount of money to Democratic candidates, supported Hillary Clinton, supported Harry Reid. But let me go back to the core of this. This is one of those classic attacks. And again, I will ask you this question. Name one other candidate in the GOP primary that has said anything disparaging specifically towards women. You cannot give me one.
Carly Fiorina said that the Lilly Ledbetter Act is condescending towards women.
She's a woman.
What
And
difference
she
does that
obviously
make?
made it
What
without
difference
it.
does that make? If Ben Carson said the N-word, would that not make it racist? Look, you can say racist and sexist things when you can be that particular generalization. The fact of the matter is, this guy is running for a position, and he should be allowed to represent himself, not be silenced because he says things that seem unpopular. That's not democratic.
All right, let's wrap it up. We will, of course, continue this conversation throughout the morning. Ben Ferguson, Jason Johnson, I appreciate you both. Also, the Republican presidential contenders will debate right here on